I like Gravity Falls. If you're watching this, I assume you like Gravity Falls too. In fact, I like Gravity Falls so much, I'd be hard pressed to say that there's a single bad episode in the series. There's 40 episodes in the series. That's a really good hit ratio for Alex Hirsch and company. One thing I will say is it did feel like a lot of season 1 did have a lot of quote-unquote filler episodes. Now, I do hesitate to use the word filler because there's kind of a stigma around it where if you consider an episode a filler episode, it's a bad episode. Think of an episode like The Great Divide from Avatar The Last Airbender. That's the definition of a filler episode in a negative way. I don't really think any of these Gravity Falls episodes truly fit the definition of a filler episode in a negative way, because each episode was entertaining, and a lot of the episodes did establish some kind of plot. And establishing the town of Gravity Falls into being a bit of a character itself, with all the mysteries that surround it, on top of some various side characters that seem important like Old Man McGucket, Pacifica Northwest, and Gideon being somewhat of established characters, and establishing the basis of them. Still, a very central character like Stan we don't even really know that much about. We know he loves committing crimes, we know he loves scamming people, we know he at least somewhat cares for the twins, but beyond that, we don't really know much about Stan himself, his past, or his intentions. All this to say, season 1 was great, but it all felt like it was building in anticipation for an epic season 2, and the two-parter season finale of season 1 definitely was the tip of the iceberg of that, and definitely revealed to us some questions that we had, but still maintained a lot of questions that we still needed answered. But without further ado, let's get straight into this episode. Right off the rip, Gideon announces his plans publicly to take over the Mystery Shack and replace it with his little tenet telepathy. Of course, right afterwards, you hear someone break in, and sure enough, it's Gideon trying to steal the Mystery Shack's deed. Real sly, Gideon. Real sly. Gideon leaves the premises, and the following day, Zeus finds a bat in the kitchen. Stan instantly offers up Dippo to take care of the bat. Dippo's all triggered and throws off his mood for the rest of the day, and he's all like, "Oh, I'm not gonna take care of that bat." Stan's all like, "Yeah, you will," and then Dippo goes and takes care of the bat.
Okay, I'll do it!
Meanwhile, Zeus and Mabel find Gideon conjuring up some satanic ritual in the middle of the woods. Awfully suspicious. Gideon's little satanic ritual conjures up a little triangle man, proving once and for all that Gideon is a part of the Illuminati. Oh no, wait, that was just Bill Cipher, who might just be the most evil creature in the entire Gravity Falls universe. Gideon asks Bill to help him take down Stan Pines, which oddly enough Bill seems familiar with. Bill agrees to help Gideon under the condition that Gideon help him with another task that he needs help with. Gideon just blindly agrees to help Bill with whatever task that he needs done. I mean, he could be committing mass genocide for all I know. He could be closing down his little tenet telepathy, but he just agrees to help Bill in order to take down Stan. Can't help but admire that level of commitment to hate from Gideon there. Bill hijacks Stan's brain, and the gang realizes the only way to stop this is to by also entering Stan's brain themselves. Pretty disturbing place to go if you ask me. Upon entering Stan's mind, Zeus immediately says,
Figured there'd be a lot more hot old ladies.
We all know that's what you're into, Zeus. Bill then appears and is instantly tormenting the kids by putting a hole in Dippo's chest. He then dips in search of finding the passcode to the safe that Stan keeps the deed to the Mystery Shack in. Even when Stan's livelihood is on the line, Dippo's still bitching about how he's always bossing him around. We then get to see some of Stan's greatest memories, like him in a Colombian jail, him being a sleazy door-to-door vacuum salesman, and him going on a hot date with Lazy Susan. Dippo, being the egotistical little fuckboy he is, decides to dive into Stan's brain to figure out his actual opinion of him. He doesn't like what he hears, but hey, we'll get back to that here shortly. The gang then finds the memory that contains the passcode to the safe, and Zeus decides that he wants to destroy it, but no. It turns out that wasn't Zeus, that was Bill's Cipher disguised as Zeus. That Zeus secretly being Bill begs a completely different question, however, because right before they found this memory, the Bill disguised as Zeus said this.
Right?
Yeah, like how he hides his arrest warrants under that rug in the gift shop.
Zeus, that's it!
How does Bill know about these arrest warrants for Stan? And more importantly, how does he know where he hides them? I think this is hilarious. And again, it goes to show that Bill might secretly know everything. Bill then zooms off with the code, and Dippo appears and I was all like, I don't want to save Stan. You know, he's going through one of his, preteen moments, Mom and Dad, you just don't understand me. One of those phases.
Okay.
Zeus then drops one of these all-time quotes after Dipper refuses to help them save Stan.
Dipper, you're a cool dude, but this isn't cool, dude.
That was some deep thoughts from Zeus there. Anyways, Bill's getting ready to give the code over to little Gideon when Mabel totally comes up clutch and shoots the thing straight out of his hands into the bottomless pit. Hey, that's a callback right there. Wait, so since the code is now in the bottomless pit, and, they're physically in his mind, and they don't have access to the code anymore, does that mean that Stan no longer remembers the code since it's in the bottomless pit, and these people physically in his mind can't even find it anymore? Hey, but maybe I'm thinking too deeply about this, but these are some compelling facts. Gideon then calls the deal off promptly and claims he's switching to Plan B. Who knows what that could be? Bill then gets really pissed, but then, speaking of pissed, we flip right over to Dipper before we see what Bill decides to do to Zeus Mabel's little two boyfriends over there. Dipper then decides to go and actually listen to everything Stan says about him in that conversation he had with Zeus. He tells Zeus that Dipper's a loser, he's weak, and that he just wants to get rid of him. But those are things that people used to say about Stan when he was a kid, and needless to say, who talks like this? Like, the way he rattles off all the negatives first, and then is like, but that's what they used to say about me. Like, who actually talks like that? Like, Stan is a weird guy for talking like that. Like, who structures sentences like that? But like, whatever, moving past that little rant, Dipper then realizes that Stan really does care for him and is just trying to help him go develop him into the man he thinks he could be. He also realizes that Stan is legitimately proud of him. Dipper then accidentally physically walks into the memory. Stan sees him there and is all like, hey, what's up, kid? I like that hole in your chest. And he fixes it, and then Dipper's all like, oh, how'd you do that? Stan's all like, oh, hey, you're in the mind. You can do whatever you want. It's like a walking lucid dream, which actually sounds kind of sick. Meanwhile, Bill is flat out tormenting the rest of the crew. For some reason, Zeus apparently has an issue with a talking man dog that's British.
Oh, who's quack for sticking the pudding?
Ah! It's everything I ever feared!
Dipper then reappears with his newfound power, and the gang does a lot of damage to Bill. So much so, Bill was impressed, and Bill was like, I'm gonna let you off the hook this one time, because you might come in handy one day. The gang saves the day. They save Stan's mind. Well, I mean, kinda. I mean, that mind's already pretty fucked up if we're gonna be honest here. And then everyone is awake and conscious and in their own body. And all is good because the deed is nice and safe. Oh, wait. Gangster Gideon is still a thing. Gideon then commits an act of terrorism and blows a hole in the side of the shack while also blowing a hole in the safe, thus getting the deed out and signing it over to himself. Gideon and his dad then start destroying the mystery shack. The episode then ends with a very eerie to be continued at the very ending credits sequence, which usually has a funny little skit or funny little scene. It has this instead. This right here, this is how you know Gravity Falls has officially begun. This is a really good episode. As much as I would love to dive into some analysis of it, I kind of want to get going to the next episode and save all the analysis for after part 2. The gang then all wakes up at Zeus's grandmother's house. For some reason, Zeus and Dipper have to share a bed, which is kind of weird. Gideon hosts a grand closing of the Mystery Shack, and the whole town is there. Man, the whole town really likes Gideon a lot. I don't really seem to care for Stan a whole lot. New news media certainly doesn't. Gideon also appears to know a lot of secrets of a lot of the residents of Gravity Falls, including Toby determines secret birthmark. The gang decides to wear these super inconspicuous costumes that's totally obvious who they're not, especially Zeus. Wearing that Not Zeus sticker on his hat. Great touch there, Zeus.
Who's this guy?
The gang wears the super elite disguises for about a total of 30 seconds before they decide to blow their own cover. They're seeing Waddles dressed up as Gideon. Stan and the kids try to expose Gideon for the lying scumbag he is, but then he pulls out the deed with a clearly fake Stan Pine signature on it, and they get removed from the premises. Dipper then finds an extra source of motivation to get the shack back when he finds out that Wendy, wait, hold on a minute. Is Wendy based off of Wendy from the fast food restaurant Wendy's? They're both named Wendy and they both have red hair. Huh.
This is a compelling case right here for that. Anyways, Wendy says if she can't work at the Mystery Shack anymore, she's gonna be sent upstate to work at a lumber camp. And Dipper, well, Dipper is devastated by that. We later cut to a really sad moment where Stan is clearly talking to the twins' parents and they're very concerned. Stan realizes this is not a place for the twins to live. There's no food, the place is trashed, and he has no money. You can tell he's really questioning if he can still take care of them. After Gangsta Gideon reveals to his father that his plan with the Mystery Shack was never to destroy and turn to Gideon Land, but all along to try and find the second journal in order to unleash ultimate power. There's a scene where Stan reveals to the kids he's planning to send them back home. And the kids, well, they're devastated, but they're motivated to stay and find a way to figure out how to defeat Gideon. Stan, on the other hand, you can tell he's heartbroken. For a guy that's normally pretty egotistical and overconfident, watching him admit defeat is pretty sad. And I feel like that we've learned a lot about Stan as a character in these final 2 episodes in the season. I'm definitely going to touch on that later. After the twins try and recruit the gnomes to take down Gideon, they have Gideon right where they want them. Till Gideon decides to counter with that stupid, annoying whistle that he has, and it's a huge weakness for the gnomes. The gnomes clearly don't like it very much. Also, I think this scene is so funny.
Most beautiful girl we've ever seen! I am not a girl! Really? But your skin is so soft. Do you moisturize her?
The gnomes then turn against the twins, and, well, worse comes to worse when Dipper's book is revealed and Gideon gets his hand on it. Gideon thinks he is a dub here. He really does. After feeling defeated and losing the journal, the kids get on the bus to depart from Gravity Falls. Gideon then hilariously realizes that he actually is journal number 3 and not the journal number 1 that he thought he had, and he still got one more journal to find.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Gideon then instantly jumps to the conclusion that Dipper probably has the first journal and just kept the first one just to piss him off. Decides that he needs to stop Dipper from living in Gravity Falls. Gets in this giant robot that Old Man McGucket bought for him. Stan then makes a revelation based off his hearing aid. Decides to kiss Zeus's grandmother and run out of the house. Man, Zeus really liked it a lot. Zeus's grandmother didn't like it very much though.
I go vacuum my face.
Gideon and his giant robot appear out of nowhere to come after the bus. The kids freak out and they run to the front of the bus to get the bus driver to reveal the bus driver was actually Zeus. How none of them noticed this before is beyond me. Dipper, watching giant Gideon walk off with his sister, realizes he needs to play a little bit of hero ball. A little bit of a hero ball, he does play. Dipper and Gideon fight, and this is all gotta be really scary for Mabel, who's still on the outside getting clenched by Gideon's fist. Well, kind of.
Careful in there!
The robot bites the dust, and it appears the twins bite the dust too, until Maple's grappling hook finally comes up clutch and saves them.
Grappling hook!
Dipper immediately finds his journal once he hits the ground, and Gideon in turn immediately accuses the Pine Twins of doing wrong, and the cops in this town are instantly ready to arrest the Pine Twins because they just love Gideon so much. That wasn't until Stan came with clutch, and well, he hit a cop car, so he's probably gonna get a charge of that one. Not that he's unfamiliar with charges or anything. But anyways, he comes up clutch, revealing to everybody that Gideon's secretly been spying on the entire town. That's why he knows everything about everyone. And the town instantly turns against a once beloved figure. Gideon is then arrested on the various charges, which is a sweet, sweet, sweet victory for the Pine Twins. Stan shakes Gideon down, gets his deed back, and for once in his life is hailed as a hero. The gang gets the Mystery Shack back, and it's back in business as they begin to rebuild it. The twins reveal the book to Stan, and Stan suspiciously shoots it down as all like, haha, that's just full of lies. But he also seems very fascinated by it, and walks away with it and insists that he wants to keep it for a little while. Meanwhile, we see Stan go down to the basement behind his loaded vending machine, which I believe this is the first time we've seen this room since the season 1 pilot. It is then revealed that it is Stan with book number 1, and now he has all 3 books. What could Stan want with all 3 books? And what is Stan's goal and aim here? I do feel like that we've learned a lot about Stan in these last 2 episodes, but what is he doing here? The episode then ends when we're officially wrapped up with season 1. It was a great season, and a great season 1 finale. Okay, while we're at it, I'm definitely going to stick with Stan here. And I can say without a shadow of a doubt, we learned a lot about him in these final 2 episodes. For starters, it's obvious that he cares about the twins.
A lot. He kind of shows a little bit of tough love towards them, but it's obvious that he cares for them deeply and dearly. Now, Stan's motives and his history are still a little bit of an unknown. He's got all 3 books now. What kind of power does he have? What kind of power can he unleash? Why does he want all 3 books? Is he the author of the books? There's a lot of questions that still remain about Stan. It is, however, pretty obvious that Stan is a very significant figure in Gravity Falls. Knows a heck of a lot more about what's going on than he previously lets on. Knows a heck of a lot more about all the mysteries surrounding the town and the magic surrounding the town than the vast majority of the people in the town itself. And then there's Bill Cipher, who definitely built the foundation for being a very strong villain in Season 2 and probably being the central villain in Season 2. Not that this little old Gideon, he's a great villain and a great character. However, it's quite clear that Bill wields some crazy powers that Gideon could never wield. Who is Bill? Where did he come from? And what kind of significance does he play here? These are all questions that we're asking for in the Season 1 finale, something that builds a lot of anticipation for Season 2. Not to mention some of the deep and dark angles that this episode took, proving how reliant on the Mystery Shack characters like Stan, Zeus, and now Dipper and Mabel are, and how their livelihood kind of revolves around it. I mean, shoot, Zeus had to pick up multiple part-time jobs as the Mystery Shack grows. You can say what you will about Stan, but he's clearly playing Zeus decently well enough that he doesn't need another job. All this to say, I think the Gravity Falls Season 1 finale really changed the tone of the show, and really built a lot of anticipation for the 2nd season. I really hope everyone enjoyed. Please consider leaving a like and subscribing if you enjoyed this. See you soon, and I'll be coming out with a lot more Gravity Falls related content.